I'm going to install Windows Server 2012 Essentials Client Connector. That will start daily PC backups. In this case, I'm on a new Lenovo Yoga 13. That's Windows 8 64-bit, the professional version. So for this installation, I'm going to avoid a domain name join to make things very simple. And it'll also handle allowing this machine to have its own DHCP DNS fed from any home router. In other words, you won't be married to the home server, have to see the home server to be able to surf the web in this PC. So let's follow along with the specific steps, having done a bunch of these, to have a successful and quick install of the client connector. Step 1, press Windows plus W key, type uninstall, press enter, upper right under search, type in server. What we're doing here is checking in add or remove programs to make sure no previous installations of Windows Server or Windows Home Server 2011, or any previous versions at all are installed. Indeed, they're not. That would be a problem if they were. Next step, avoid the domain name join. Avoid the domain joining. So right here, this article, How to Skip Domain Joining, walks you through the very simple one-liner you need. Basically, we want to get this in the clipboard, the whole sentence, copy, hit Windows plus X, pick Command Prompt Admin, click yes, hit Windows key plus right to move it to the right, upper left corner, edit, paste, enter, success. We're done, we can close that window. Next, let's avoid DNS troubles. So the installation is going to want to install this service. We'd like to keep that service from getting installed in the first place. It's called Windows Server LAN Configuration. So let's get ready for that. Windows plus R key for the run dialog. Type in services.msc. Move that to the left, a little further to the left. Okay, so what we'll want to do here is get it ready so Windows Server processes will show up here. You have to hit F5 over and over to get it to refresh. See how it's painting? Okay, now we're ready to kick off the install. Next step, type in the name of your server and hit enter, and you'll see Client Connector. This message at the bottom we can ignore. Download the software, run it. It's very tiny, 100K. Say yes. Now it's working on locating the server. Very straightforward wizard. Hit next. Because .NET is already there in Windows 8, this install goes rather fast. It's also a solid-state drive. Just click next. Okay. What user account is it asking? It's asking the domain administrator, or the server administrator in this case. I'm not really using domain features. It is still a domain controller, by the way, the Windows Server 2012 Essentials box. It's just I'm not joining that domain with this client. There's no ill side effects I found. PC backups will work, remote VPN will work. All of it is all set for you. Okay, we can type in a new description if we want, put how much memory or disk or some detailed. By default, it's just going to pick the host name. Click next. I do want to wake up the machine if it's plugged into AC power. This will describe that to you a little bit. Click next. Decide if you want to participate. This particular machine, I say no. And now we watch. And we hit refresh over and over. I believe it's around the middle that the new service will show. So I'm hitting F5 over and over, watching for Windows Server stuff to show up. Specifically the network configuration service that will change our DNS settings for all our network adapters on this machine. If we time this right, we'll avoid that from happening in the first place. If we do miss it, it's not a big deal. We just have to manually go back in and specify DHCP for all our network adapters. There it is. LAN configuration service, stop. So it sure wasn't running long. We stopped it. We also want to disable it. So now it's not going to run in the future. There you go, it's disabled. And now we're done with services. Notice it says we're now connected. I don't need to open the dashboard. I'm trying to keep this simple. Next, this is a client PC. I don't need the Launchpad either. So if we open Launchpad, sorry, let's try that again. Open Dashboard. Okay, so we can go ahead and log in once. Click this little down arrow, click on Settings, and turn off Automatically Run when I log into Windows. Scope of alerts to be presented? None. This is a client machine. I don't want them getting nagged with messages about other machines not successfully backing up. And then click OK. So Launchpad is now out of our way. Let's go to Task Manager Startup, and let's get rid of the other piece. Windows Server Launchpad is disabled. Okay. So notice that means that the dashboard is not going to auto-launch. It was just the server Launchpad that we disabled now. We do want client backup still happening. All right. Now, we mentioned I tried to stop that service, but it looks like it started very fast. So we do need to go in, right-click on the network adapter that's active, click Open Network and Sharing Center, and left-click on the Wi-Fi connection, click on Properties, scroll down, double-click on TCP/IP, and look at that. It very quickly altered my DNS. So on a slower machine with a slower hard drive, you can intercept that, and I have successfully done that, where you keep the service from starting. It'll say the word starting, and you hit stop, and it'll keep it from ever launching. But in this case, it's such a fast machine, I was too late. You're going to want to check anyway. Okay, so we fixed the Wi-Fi adapter. It's now DHCP fed, but we still have other adapters. Okay, Bluetooth is disabled. I don't care about that one. If you have a Machi, you got to go in and do those as well. If you have something like VMware Workstation or VPN, you'll also have to do those as well. Kind of annoying. That one you leave alone. That's the remote VPN that it set up. And that's it. Again, you can see if we go back into the Wi-Fi adapter, the setting we made should have stuck. It did. If we go to Windows plus X, command prompt, type ipconfig/all and scroll all the way back to the top. The first adapter is the Wi-Fi adapter I care about, and you can see the DNS server has been fed from my home router. So we're in good shape there as well. What's next? This is the finishing touch I like to do. I want to give the end user the ability to quickly check if recent backups have been successful, and to kick off a backup at any time. That's all these client PCs could use in my experience. So let's go to Windows, Program Files, Windows Server, Bin. We've got this backup Launchpad. Right-click it, and you've got Pin to Start. That'll bring it in the Metro interface. I'm also going to pin it to taskbar. Close. So now we're ready to click this at any time, and you'll see the first backup, as is expected, is already underway for the system that has just joined the Windows Server 2012 Essentials server. And you'll also see if you click the network connection that your remote connection is also available. So the user logs in with their own credentials for their local workstation. And they're able to get in because on the server side, we've configured the server to allow that for this particular user. So that's something you can actually test even when you're on your home network. It works. If they're not in your home network and at some other network, they'll be able to VPN in and get their daily backups done. And there are actually tweaks to have that auto-started or kept running. It's not running by default. People would have to click on it, and that'd be kind of useless because every time they reboot, they have to reconnect. So it'd be best to do that tweak or use something like Hamachi VPN, which is what I'm using, to have all my clients automatically on my home network, even when they leave the house. We are done with the client connector install. There is no need to reboot. We can tap here and have a look at the performance of the network and look at Wi-Fi. Double click here and it becomes a nice little stubby small version. And as you're cruising along or the user's using it, during a backup they can actually see what's going on. Notice it's the disk with a lot of latency. So even on a solid state drive, so it's cruising along, and it's going to take quite a while for that first backup. Daily backups, though, are 5 or 10 minutes, depending upon how many machines you have connected and how many terabytes total you have of all your client PC backups. So this user is now able to go about their business, and you got this always on top little monitor showing that the backup is still underway. A few minutes later, and I feel it's worth showing you something. If we click on our little backup status indicator, you can see we're at 21%. And if we have another look at Task Manager, you'll see there's more going on. We're now sending at a faster rate. Our Wi-Fi is busy, and our disk is not so much busy, much less. And then once the backup is underway, now it's using the Wi-Fi more. So at this point, it's possible my backup would go a little quicker, gigabit, but I doubt it. Again, having done a lot of these backups over the last few months on the release candidate, the beta, it didn't seem to matter much. What else? Oh, we can actually close the lid on the laptop and accidentally suspend it. And if we do and reopen it, within a few minutes, the Windows Server 2012 Essentials backup task is smart enough to pick up where it left off and continue the backup. I've actually found, in some circumstances, I can actually reboot on the pre-release version anyway. I could reboot the laptop, and it would still pick up and resume doing that first long backup, or even daily PC backups. So it's a pretty robust backup mechanism, is what I'm trying to say here. And depending upon what it's doing at any given time, the impact on the user, productivity and mouse responsiveness and ability to use the machine, its impact varies. On a new modern machine like this, it's really imperceptible. You could even be playing a game. But on an older machine, yeah, there are tricks to force the backup to keep it from using multiple CPUs. Okay, so here we are in the Resource Monitor CPU tab, and we can see it's called the Windows Server Client Computer Backup Provider Service. and it's only using a small portion of the CPU itself. Okay, I'll just finish up this video by showing you it's now a little later. We're at 28%. You can see the Wi-Fi throughput is looking smooth, and the computer overall has a 256 gig solid state drive. So we've got about 100 gig of data backing up. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and again, thank you for watching. As always, your feedback below the articles at tinkertry.com is greatly appreciated.